Hello, welcome to Economics Knowledge. Today we will discuss about demand or demand theory. This is the initial part of economics theory. In ordinary language, we can say that demand means what a consumer or individual desire for a commodity. But in economics language, demand means desire for a commodity backed by willingness to purchase and ability to pay at a particular period of time. Here, we can say that demand includes three things: desire for a commodity, willing to pay for that commodity, and ability to pay. These three includes in demand theory. If any one of these does not exist, then we can't say that this is demand. For example, if a beggar who don't have enough money to purchase a BMW car, but he has willingness, a desire for the commodity and willingness to purchase that commodity, but he don't have ability to purchase that commodity, then this is only a desire for a BMW car for that beggar. Another example, we can say that if, for example, a miser who have enough money to purchase a TV or LED set, but he have desire for a LED TV and ability to pay for that LED TV, but as he is a miser, then he don't have willingness to pay for that commodity, then this is also a desire, not a demand. This is all about demand. Then with demand, there is one more concept, that is utility. In economics, utility means the amount of satisfaction which an individual derive from consuming a commodity. Or simply we can say that one satisfying capacity of a commodity is known as utility. That means by consuming a product or commodity, the satisfaction level the consumer get, that is utility. Then there is one thing, that is direct demand. When a consumer demand for a consumer good for his own satisfaction, it is called direct demand. Then there is demand and quantity demand. Two concepts. One is demand, another is quantity demand. Demand means it is determined by several factors like taste, income, price of related good, price of substitute good or complementary good. These things determine demand. But quantity demand determined only by price. How much the price charges, that determine quantity demand of a consumer. Because as per the human psychology, when price of a commodity decreases, we demand more for that commodity. When price increases, we demand less of that commodity. This is defined quantity demand. There are two kinds of demand: individual demand and market demand. Individual demand means demand for a particular or single consumer. Here we can say that individual demand for a commodity or good is the demand of only one individual consumer who purchase the commodity at various price in the market in a particular period of time. Market demand means sum of individual demand. Suppose there are more than one consumer for a particular commodity, then we simply add the individual demands and conclude with market demand. We can say that market demand for a commodity is the sum of the total demand of all individuals consumer who purchase the commodity at various price in the market in a particular period of time. Here, individual demand is demand of only one individual. Market demand is the sum of individuals. Then demand function. The demand function for a commodity describes the relation between quantity demand of a commodity and the factor that influence it. Factors that are a taste of a consumer, price of the commodity, income of the consumer, price of the related good, substitute good, complementary good, all the things define demand function. Here we can write a demand function, that is, suppose quantity demand is a function of Px, I, Pr, T and A, where QD is quantity demand, Px is the price of the own commodity, I income of the consumer, PR price of the related good, T taste and preference of the consumer, and A advertising expenditure made by the producer of a commodity. In economics, it is useful to focus on relation between the quantity demand of a commodity and its own price while keeping other determining factor as constant. That means we take all these factors as constant, only talks about quantity demand and price of that commodity. Then we can formulate one new demand function, that is QD is a function of price of X or own price of that commodity. Then let's talk about law of demand. This is a simple and very easy theory or law of economics, that is law of demand. According to the law of demand, other things being equal, if price of a commodity fall, quantity demand of it will rise, and price of the commodity rises, its quantity demand will decline. Let me repeat that. When price of a commodity increases, demand for that commodity decreases, and when price of a commodity decreases, demand for that commodity increases. This is because of human psychology. That means when we general people demand more when a price of a commodity decreases, and less demand when price of the commodity increases. This is, in economics we say that law of demand. There is demand schedule, that means table, schedule or table. Here we say that we can see that there is a price and quantity. Here when price is 12, a consumer demand only 10 units of a commodity. Suppose commodity X. Suppose price decreases from 12 to 10. Then quantity demand increases from 10 to 20. Here we can say that when price decreases 2 rupees, quantity demand increases by 10 units. Similarly, when price decreases from 10 to 8, quantity demand increases from 20 to 30. Similarly, when price decreases from 4 rupees to 2 rupees, quantity demand increases from 50 to 60 rupees. Or we can say that when price decreases from 12 rupees to 2 rupees, quantity demand increases from 10 rupees to 10 unit to 60 unit. Here we can say that when price decreases, quantity demand increases. This demand schedule define the statement of law of demand. Next, the law demand curve. Demand curve derived by plotting these price and quantity in x-axis as quantity and vertical or y-axis as price. We get a downward sloping line or downward sloping curve, that is demand curve. Demand curve is downward sloping because due to inverse relation between price and quantity demand. Inverse relation means when price increases, demand decreases. Here this curve is price is increased, demand is decreased. It is inverse relation. Only for this inverse relation, demand curve is downward sloping. Then let's talk about why demand curve is downward sloping. There may be two effects, basically two effects, that is income effect and substitution effect. In case of income effect, we say that when price fall, the consumer can buy more quantity of a commodity with his given income. Then if he choose the same amount of the commodity, then the real income of the consumer or purchasing power of the consumer increases. That means we can say that when income of the consumer increases, he can demand more of that commodity. But for example, with increase in income, he does not change or demand similar unit of that commodity. Then by this, the purchasing power of the consumer increases. When the purchasing power increases, it includes the consumer, this induce the consumer to buy more of that commodity. This is called income effect. That means we can say that if income increases, demand obviously increases. But if income increases but consumer do not change his demand unit, then he have purchasing power, that is increases. When purchasing power increases, that indirectly induce the consumer to buy more of that commodity. This is called income effect. Then substitution effect. When price of a commodity fall because of relatively cheaper other commodity. Substitute commodity. Suppose we take two commodities, that is tea and coffee. Tea and coffee are substitute to each other. If we have tea, then we take tea. If we don't have tea, then we prefer coffee. Suppose price of coffee decreases, but suppose here price is 10, tea price is 10, coffee price is initially suppose 20 rupees, but coffee price decreases to 10 rupees. Here tea is 10 rupees, coffee is also 10 rupees. When coffee price decreases, demand for tea decreases because people prefer coffee than tea. This is called substitution effect or substitution of the commodity. This is all about the law of demand. There are some exceptions or criticisms of law of demand. First one is Vauban effect, or goods having prestigious value, or we can simply call it luxurious commodity. When in case of purchasing a luxurious commodity, the consumer choose to prefer to buy that commodity when the price is high for his prestige or prestigious value. Second one is given good. Then rare commodities and abnormality. Abnormality defines, suppose there is a drunkard. When price of commodity decreases, he consume less of that product or drinks less. Thank you.